Question. So this is a question I like to think I know the answer to, but the fact that they posed it makes me curious. Let's see. Do Ukrainians want a ceasefire?
Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians are traveling on foot into northern Gaza for the second straight day. Israel on Monday allowed people to return to the heavily bombarded region as part of the ongoing ceasefire deal with Hamas. Israeli forces sealed off northern Gaza in the early days of the war. About 1 million people evacuated to the south, while hundreds of thousands chose to stay despite the risk. Hamas is expected to release additional Israeli hostages on Thursday in exchange for Palestinian prisoners. The Pentagon is transferring dozens of Patriot air defense missiles from Israel to Ukraine. 2 U.S. officials tell CBS News that Israel had about 90 of these missiles in warehouses and gave them to the U.S. to send to Ukraine. While military aid continues to flow into Kyiv, U.S. funding for nearly all foreign assistance programs is on pause. The State Department spokesperson said Sunday, quote, Secretary Rubio is initiating a review of all foreign assistance programs to ensure they are efficient and consistent with U.S. foreign policy under the America First agenda. The fighting...
That means they want to make sure it's an equal deal and that what's said is actually what's done. And what's done is actually going to be beneficial to both sides of the party.
Has not let up since Russia launched its full-scale invasion nearly 3 years ago. CBS News senior foreign correspondent Holly Williams is on the ground in western Ukraine.
Russian air attacks overnight wounded 8 people here in Ukraine and damaged residential buildings, according to local officials. Ukraine's Air Force said it shot down 65 drones. With Russia's assaults continuing, we've spent the last week in Ukraine finding out what people here...
It's low-key crazy that combat has now resorted to drones. You ain't gotta be there, dog.
...think about a possible ceasefire. Remember, on the campaign trail, President Trump repeatedly claimed that he could end the war here in just 24 hours. Though so far he hasn't done so. Since taking office, he said he wants to meet with Russia's leader, Vladimir Putin, as soon as possible to negotiate an end to the conflict. After nearly 3 years of grueling war, a recent poll here found that just over half of Ukrainians would now like to negotiate a ceasefire. That figure's more than doubled since the beginning of the war. But many here have told us it will only work if they have security guarantees to stop Russia from invading again. Ukraine's government shares those fears and has said the guarantees could be European peacekeepers or NATO membership. Many here have also told us they need a continued supply of American weapons to defend themselves. The bottom line is that Ukrainians want peace, but they're unlikely to agree to a ceasefire without protection from their allies, including the U.S. Back to you.
Holly Williams, thank you. Former U.S. Ambassador to Ukraine, William Taylor, joins us now. Ambassador, thank you so much for being here. So Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has directed government officials to determine which programs are being impacted by this pause in U.S. foreign aid. What's your understanding of what programs could be affected by this move?
My understanding is that the military assistance, which Holly just pointed out, is really important for the Ukrainians as they defend themselves against this Russian aggression, which, by the way, has gone on 1,070 days that they've been defending. So the military stuff is not stopped, as I understand it. What is being reviewed for some 80 days is the humanitarian, economic, financial assistance, which is important. There's no doubt. And there, as I understand it, there are appeals to allow that assistance to go forward to Ukraine.
What is the scope of humanitarian aid that the U.S. currently provides for Ukraine, and what would it mean for that to be put on pause?
So what it means to be put on pause is that the programs that the embassy runs in Ukraine, all across Ukraine, to help the Ukrainians deliver health care, to help the Ukrainians provide the assistance to the first responders, to help the government maintain its ability to provide these services to the government, to the people from the government. Those are the programs that need to go forward. That probably have some ability, some concern about being paused. Now, the Europeans also provide that kind of support, and the Europeans presumably are going to be able to step up in this time as they did before when there was a pause.
So Zelensky says military aid has not stopped, but from your contacts there, is there fear that under this administration that the aid at least won't necessarily be what it was under the Biden administration?
There's certainly uncertainty about the levels of assistance.
I can answer that for you real easy. No, it's not about to be the same. The funding is not about to be the same. I can promise you that, just because of the fact, what are we getting monetarily out of it is going to be the main focus.
Ukrainians will be looking to see if there's another request from the new administration to provide more assistance. They don't need it yet, but they will. So that their uncertainty is concerned by the Ukrainians.
Do you see Ukraine and Russia moving any closer toward peace talks?
The Ukrainians, President Zelensky has said he's ready. As Holly reported, all he needs is security guarantees so that the Russians, during a ceasefire, don't invade again. So the Ukrainians say they're ready. Putin says he's ready if the Ukrainians will just fold, if they will surrender, if they will.
Bro, of course you're ready if they just quit or give up. Of course I'm going to be ready to end the fight if my opponent says, all right, cool, you got it, and whatever you say goes.
Decide to give up in the face of the Russian onslaught. And of course,
forgive me for interrupting you, but are the security guarantees that Ukraine is looking for essentially that Russia promises, as much as that much weight can be made on a Russian promise, given the invasion, that they won't invade again? And would it also include a promise that they could join NATO? And then Russia, you're saying, just wants Ukraine to fold. That includes the territory that they have already taken would become Russian territory.
So, Lindsay, the security guarantee that the Ukrainians want doesn't come from Russia. It comes from Europe and from the United States. And it is a guarantee that if Russia invades again, that the United States and Europe will be there to help defend. Okay. It's to deter another attack from Russia.
Ambassador William Taylor, always helping.
She was trying to get him to wrap it up. She's like, all right, dog, direct answers. But yeah, there you have it. So after 3 years of constant back and forth, Ukraine is ready to settle. But they want a guarantee from America and from Europe that if another attack were to happen, they would step in and intervene in a combat type assistance. And Russia pretty much said, yeah, we'll stop if y'all fold. Give us what we've already asked for and it's over. I mean, I guess that's why it is what it is. War. I don't mean to be laughing. I'm not trying to make light of this all. It's just realistically, you feel me? So just hope everything comes together as peacefully as possible, and we'll see in the near future.